Alrighty, what is going on, my fellow Overwatch gamers? It is Apxche, and today we're going to be doing a Kiriko VOD for baby Hime, better known as my wife. She wants to get better at playing Kiriko. She just unlocked the character, so here I am trying to help her learn, right? What qualifies me to teach Kiriko? Nothing really, other than the fact that I've been learning the character as well, and I've improved greatly, I think. As well as I watch a lot of content that has taught me a lot as well, right? And I do have coaching experience from the past, so I think it'll translate over, right? So here we go, right? The first thing we're going to talk about as we lower the volume, because that's going to be not going to be as important, is Kiriko, right? So let's talk about Suzu. We want to save Suzu primarily for this character, right? For anti-nates and sleeps, but for this. Anti-nate's a very, very broken ability, right? Obviously, there's going to be some quotations around these, right? Because just because an anti-nate comes out doesn't necessarily mean you have to waste Suzu. We'll use our best judgment to figure out when and when not to do it. It's never really a terrible thing to cleanse every anti, but there will be opportunities where like that nade was terrible. We don't even need to cleanse it, and it will happen in this game. But without further ado, we're going to move forward. I'm not going to really talk about what you're playing against to the most part because you don't even know it yet. But even if we do want to look at that, right? You're playing against an Ana, so you do want to save your Suzu for that for the most part. Other than that, you can use Suzu to prevent a large amount of damage or damage that will deal death. Obviously, that's going to be like the second thing you want to use it for. And then for tempo, in the sense of just like enabling your tank to walk in, things like that, especially when y'all want to take that aggression, right? Other than that, let's get to it. One thing I do want to say really, really quick before we go in is there is a concept called, we're going to say the 3 Ps, right? That's going to be poke, push, and pull, right? And basically those are the 3 stages of a fight, right? So in the stage we're in the poke phase, right? That is the phase where you get information on what the enemy team is running, right? Where they're rolling out to, and what a rollout is basically where are they going to on the map, right? As well as, like, in a sense, like, how do we play into this, right? In the poke phase, after that initial one, where you get that information, you're going to be poking, right? You're going to be looking to do damage, maybe get picks, right? Force out cooldowns, right? So you can prevent these other 2 things from happening. Other than that, the push phase is when your team wants to walk in, or the enemy team wants to walk in, and the pull phase is when you need to pull out, right? So there's a thing called ebb and flow, right? In a sense where when one thing happens, another thing happens, right? So when a team pushes, a team will be pulling for the most part. If you don't, one of them will die. And even if you're pulling, if you pull incorrectly, you can still die, right? So this is a chain that's going to keep happening. So when we're pushing in the enemy team, especially if it's a proper push with the proper cooldowns and the advantages, the enemy team should be pulling out, right? So let's go. So right now we are in poke, right? So just throwing shots, right? So you have 2 people that are purple. Did you really need to cleanse that? Probably not. But it's not terrible, right? If they get hit with a nade and they're able to kind of chill for a bit, especially since the objective isn't unlocked and there's not necessarily something for them to be doing, you probably don't have to cleanse that, but it's not a bad cleanse. Let's try to keep you in the habit of just cleansing things as of now, right? So, Reinhardt takes a ton of damage. So right now, boom, you lost your Reinhardt, right? What phase are we in of the fight, right? What stage? We are now in pool, right? So we need to be backing up, right? Let's help our teammates get out. Kite, kite, kite. Right? Nice. So, one thing obviously I've noticed is you're only using 1 or 2 tickets, right? 1 or 2. And that's not because you're bad at the game. That's because you play Moira. You have Moira syndrome. Where you heal like a little bit and it'll heal over time, right? Don't be afraid to dump your tickets. Just throw them, you know? Throw a few. This is cool. They'll track. Ooh, heal. Yeah. But I definitely want to see you continue to shoot more as well, though. Don't be afraid to shoot your weapon. So right now, I think this would be a good chance to kind of just throw a few kunai, especially if your teammates are just getting back. If anybody out of everyone here, you have the best mid-range fight, this guy is not going to be doing anything to anybody for the most part. If anything, you're the highest kill potential at the moment. Boom! As soon as I say that, we get a pick, right? So we were just in the poke phase. We have an advantage now. What are we in? Push, right? So now, this would be a great moment for you to tell your team, hey, let's walk forward. We have an advantage. Let's abuse it. Okay, so right now we're kind of just sitting back when we should be walking in. So, there's things in this game called triggers, right? And what is that? If you ult, that will trigger your team to walk forward for the most part. If you walk in front of your tank, that should trigger them to move forward as well because, hey, that support thinks that they're better than me, that they can fight without me. I'm their tank. Let's go in, right? That's a trigger. As well as using certain cooldowns, right? Like, for example, speed. So, we know we need to walk forward here, right? So, don't be afraid to just start walking in. It seems dangerous, right? But I want to walk in here. I'd just take a step in front of your tank a little bit, maybe. Just to see if we can give him a signal to walk forward. Even if it's over here, I don't even care. Let's we got 2 picks now. We definitely need to walk in. Oh, you saved Suzu there. Cool. Now that Ana is dead, right? This is very important. And if your team's not calling it out, we need to pay attention for this. Now that she's not dead, there's nothing you really need to really save your Suzu for, right? So you can use it a lot more aggressively to enable your tank when he's walking in, to take off angles, right? Take duels, right? Yeah, etc., etc. So right now you're playing very brawly. You're hugging your tank a little too much. I would like it if I saw you take an off angle, whether it be here or here. I'd say more so to the left because it's closer to you, right? Let's get some shots off into the back line. Remember, you can always climb walls to still get shots on mid, get heals off mid, or if you need to teleport in, you can, right? Yeah. But right here, I feel like you're not respecting the Roadhog enough. If that Roadhog is good, he's snatching you. So, like I said, you're basically too brawly here, and you're getting punished for it, right? So, Kiriko is not a brawl character. She's more so of a poke character, like a dueling character. She excels very well at the mid-range fighting. No, I wouldn't say long-range, but her mid-range is very exceptional. She has so much kill potential, especially being able to 2-tap DPS, right? So we want to kind of stay at that distance. There will be times where you kind of get a little bit closer, but for the most part, you want to kind of keep your distance. Your Junkrat's taking a little bit of damage here. He is kind of feeding, right? So let's see what happens here. So you know he's up close, right? So he was yellow. We should be looking at him. We definitely should be looking at him. He probably should have gotten some heals already. Yeah. So right here is a good it's called heal prioritization, right? Do you need to heal the Bastion, or can you tell him to go get a health pack, and you heal your Junkrat here, right? So right now there's a health pack, and better players will know it's there. Not everybody's gonna know it's there, obviously, especially at a lower rank, because I don't even know where all the health packs are at. I'm pretty bad, right? But he doesn't need you to heal him. He can heal himself. Let's get our Junkrat up. He's been this low for a little while. I want to see him get healthy. Oh. Junkrat's ulting here. You see that Genji, right? He's going for your Junkrat. That's TP on your Junkrat. That's maybe Suzu, your Junkrat, if he takes a lot of damage, right? Let's keep your Junkrat alive here. Boom. So that would have been a great opportunity to kind of walk in there and help your Junkrat. He was kind of pushing everybody back with his tire, and the Genji was trying to counter that by walking in. So you teleporting in there, you're only teleporting on one person. Teleporting in can be very scary, but when you know what you're teleporting on, it's not as bad, right? If you know that you're teleporting into a 2v1, that's not really scary. Obviously, it's a 1v1 at first initially because he's on tire. But if you go there, if you hit him with Suzu and you start fighting that Genji, if that Genji ignores you, it gives you a really big advantage to kind of take your time, hit those shots. And if he does kill your Junkrat, if you kill the Genji in return, that's not the worst trade, but if you do save your Junkrat, that's huge. Yeah, but Genji gets out here. I'll go. It's cool. We were pulling anyway, so that works out in our favor. Huh. So right here, there's a lot of opportunities for you to be chucking kunais here. I definitely want to see that more. So we are in the poke phase, right? And your Lucio is going to speed your team in. So honestly, I wouldn't be mad about you either walking up and getting an angle to the left. It's a little dangerous walking through mid, or maybe walking through here and getting an angle on the left side. Because like I said, when your team needs you the most, you can always just teleport back in, right? So I definitely want to see you get more off angles, right? Off angles are very, very strong in Kiriko. So right here, we're in the poke fight. They pop beat, right? Beat obviously doesn't last forever. It's going to slowly tick down, right? So honestly, I'd say in a little bit, probably using Rush is probably fine, which here is not terrible. Lucio has the confidence of a literal god. He said, I'm in there. I am the Alpha. I am the Omega. He's a bird. But he's going in. Whatever, he's not going to do anything. This ult is, I think this ult's pretty good. It's going to enable your team to get in faster, as well as take a fight when this beat. By the time you get in, the beat should basically be over, and your thing should still be up. Another example of anti you probably didn't have to cleanse. And the reason I say that is because, like we said earlier, not every nade's a good nade. Just because someone's purple doesn't necessarily mean you have to cleanse it. Let's say Anna throws a sky nade and hits you all in the back. You're around the corner. You're not even wanting to walk in. Are you going to cleanse that? No. Right? So you can start to pick and choose. As you get better, you'll start to realize what nades are just god-awful nades. So that you won't have to cleanse them. But like I said, I don't want to harp too much on it because the fact that you're cleansing it is good. You're in a good habit of knowing that I technically can counteract that ability, right? But for every Suzu you can technically save, you can use it for other things, right? Which I love to use it to be more aggressive, right? To take more aggressive angles. So, in Overwatch, once the objective is in your control, you don't have to stand on it. You can kind of get off. So if your teammates are going to all be in mid, I would love for you to get an off angle to the left. You know? I don't know if you want to fully rotate toward this way, because I feel like by the time you get here, they'll probably be here. Unless you have time. But I'd say get to the left here, so that when your team pulls back through mid, you have an angle already.
Draw strength from nature.
This is a great example. Perfect. You're spamming a choke. You're shooting. You get a pick. You basically, if it wasn't for your Bastion dying, you would have won the fight right there. But since your Bastion died, you equalized the fight. So you just turned this fight from a losing fight to, okay, now it's winnable, right? But let's say if you would have hit that without him dying, you would have just straight up won the fight with, you threw three kunais at that choke? Like that Kiriko's insane, you know? So you definitely got to be abusing that more. Just throwing shit at chokes. So, you do lose people more to your left because you did lose a teammate to your left, so let's be aware of that. I would place near some natural cover. Natural cover is very important.
Soothing your wounds.
So, one thing about Kiriko, right, is you're throwing shots into the enemy tank. If you're hitting them in the body, it's really not doing anything, right? Cool damage, right? Headshots are where you want to be. But for all that, I'd rather you just shoot it squishy, right? So, obviously, he was over here, which denied you for being there. But, you could rotate there after he leaves. But let's not focus too hard on shooting the hog. He's just an old battery. Genji dives you. Staying near your teammates in moments like that is pretty important. But right here, you're entering that brawl territory again. I would have much preferred if you would have Suzu'd yourself and got over the edge, and if he chased you, teleport to somebody. But just use that Suzu to deny the initial slash damage from the sword, and then you should be okay. But I don't really like you playing so close to this Reinhardt, because it kind of puts you in a very, very scary position. Then your Junkrat says, nah, I'd win, and you guys win. So right here, Hog's here. As long as he doesn't kill your Reinhardt, you're chilling. Right? So he staggered immensely. So now, boom. 3 Ps. Poke fight. Right? Now is a great time for you to set up for an angle. Obviously, their tank is dead. He's going to be dead for a while. So if you want to push really far up and get an angle to where you're in a really good spot, but you can TP out, that's cool. Or you're going to take a more passive angle, that's fine too. Right? But you should be getting an off angle right now. So since you're in front of your other teammates, right, which is partially kind of their fault too, but two of your teammates got antied and you didn't even notice. You're a little too focused on heal botting him when he's fairly healthy, right? Definitely you got to be aware of your DPS. Kiriko is very good at killing sleeping Genjis, headshot punch, and if you're Ana shoots them once they die, right? So what I would do here is I would kite back while healing my Ryan. He's super healthy, and if anything, you could tell him to kite back too because you have the cap. It's 99. You have time, right? Killing this Genji kind of wins you the fight, right? So I definitely would help out with it. That Suzu's not bad. Your Ryan's taking way too much damage. But that's also a great example of what happens when you don't use save Suzu for anti-nade. This ult, not the best ult, but it's not your fault because I called for it. As you can see, I'm playing with you because you know why I'm playing with you. But yeah, I'm playing with you, right? So I called for it, so that's on me. That ult was kind of bad. I mean, in my head, I didn't know if Reinhardt was going to get back, so I was like, fuck it, let's just use it. Let's see if we can make something happen here. But it's probably not the best ult. He's probably going to be back soon. But I don't know. Who knows, right? It could be decent. I don't know. Yeah, Ryan doesn't get back. That ult was fine. Maybe we could have used it a little earlier. Who cares? I don't know. All right, to the drawing board. All right, boom. Oh my God, sorry for the flashbang. I'm so sorry. But so the things I want you to focus on, right? I know it's a little quick, right? We didn't need to go too into detail, but the 3-piece, obviously, I want you to focus on that. That's the push, pull, poke. That looks like an R, right? The push and pull part shouldn't be too hard. When your team wants to go in, you go in. When the team wants to come out, you go out, right? So when you notice that you've lost a fight, initiate a pull. Hey guys, we need to reset. Hey guys, we need to pull out. When you have ult and you want to enable your team, or when you know your team wants to go in, that's a push. You go in with your team, right? Well, I feel like what most players need the most help on is being more reliable in the poke, knowing what to do in the poke, right? Some players like myself will be too flanky and too off-angly, right? And some players won't even look at an off angle, right? So learning when and when not to off angle, when to be there, when to not, is always going to be great. It's going to make you a better player, right? It's going to create more opportunities for you, right? And that's going to also bleed into the next point where I shoot more, right? When you shot, right? When you spammed that choke and you eliminated that soldier, that was beautiful. That was amazing, right? Quite literally, you can win a lot of fights just by doing that, right? So let's do it more. Right? I'm glad you're healing. You're keeping your team healthy. That's good, right? It's not terrible. But don't forget that you're also capable of a lot of damage as well. You have very high pick potential with Kiriko, right? So let's abuse that, right? And then the third thing, right? I was going to say a big. I don't even want to talk about Suzu's because Suzu wasn't really like you weren't bad with it. I think you used it a lot, and you primarily used it for antis, which great, right? Let's talk about your positioning, right? You're very, 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 very close to your team, and that's not a bad thing, in some cases. But when you're playing Kiriko, you want to really stick to that mid range and stick to your off angles a lot of the time until you need to be with your team and fight with them, right? And the reason why you do that a lot is because you play a lot of Moira, right? And I know you personally, so I know. Moira, obviously, you can leave on a dime. You can phase to wherever you want. Kiriko, you need to run to a teammate. You need to be aware of your teammates at all times to be able to use that mobility, right? So since you play so much Moira, that's why you kind of have that, I like to say, Moira syndrome. You like to be up close and in the shits all the time, right? But, yeah, so let's just say, we'll just put right positioning, right? So just be a little bit more aware of where you're standing, right? As Kiriko, you really don't want to be up in the shits all the time. If you want to be in there for a little bit, that's cool, right? But you need to make sure you're playing your distance, abusing the fact that you can two-shot DPS and supports, right? Things like that, right? But other than that, you played pretty well. I'm very proud of you. And I can't wait to see you implement these things that we've talked about today. But with that being said, for everybody else, if you enjoyed this content, don't be afraid to leave a like, comment down below if you have any more tips for the beautiful Miss Sarah, as well as don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this content. I'm going to be posting this very frequently. And if you want to learn, I love teaching, and I would love to have you guys around, right? So, without further ado, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your morning, day, or night. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Take care.